at 7:30 p.m. The prayer will be offered by Deputy City Clerk Judith Boileau, and Alderman O'Brien will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding which enables us to face our multiple problems in serene mind with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Wilshire.
Here.
Alderman Gidge.
Here.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Present.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderman Klee.
Here.
Alderman Laws. Here. Alderman Lopez. Here. Alderman Karen. Here. Alderwoman Kelly. Here. Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Present.
Alderman Tenza.
Present.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Alderman O'Brien.
Present.
Alderman McCarthy.
Present.
15 present.
Also present, the Corporation Counsel, Stephen Bolton. The mayor is not present, so we will skip remarks by the mayor and responses to the remarks of the mayor. Recognition period.
There are none.
Reading the minutes of previous meeting and public hearings. If there are no objections, the minutes of the Board of Aldermen meetings of May 8th, 2018, and those of the public hearing conducted by the Planning and Economic Development Committee on May 15th, 2018 will be accepted, placed on file, and the readings will be suspended. Communications requiring only procedural actions and written reports.
Communication from Linda Laflemme, Chairman, Board of Library Trustees, relative to request for joint convention.
There are no objections. The communication will be accepted, placed on file, and we will schedule a joint convention with the Library Board of Trustees on Tuesday, June 12th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber.
Communication from the Legal Department relative to street renumbering petition, Dawn Street.
If there are no objections, the petition will be accepted and referred to the Committee on Infrastructure and scheduled for a public hearing for Wednesday, June 27th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. If there are no objections, the rules will be so far suspended as to allow for the introduction of a communication received after the agenda was prepared.
Communication from William McKinney, Building Department Manager, relative to amendment to city legislation, ordinance 18-012.
If there are no objections, the communication will be accepted and placed on file. Period for public comment relative to items expected to be acted upon this evening. No one has signed up. Communications requiring final approval.
Communication from Mayor Jim Donchis relative to Cali American Pay Station contract.
Alderwoman Kelly.
I move to accept, place on file, and award a 3-year contract to Kale American Inc. in the amount of $53,980.
Motion is to accept, place on file, and award the 3-year contract to Kale America in the amount of $53,980. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries.
Communication from Mayor Jim Donchis relative to ASAP fire alarm inspection contract.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion to accept and place on file and award the 2-year contract to ASP Alarm and Electrical in the amount of $2,400.
Motion is to accept, place on file, and award the 2-year contract to ASAP Alarm and Electrical in the amount of $2,400. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Communication from Mayor Jim Donchis relative to contract for tax credit consultation.
Alderman Laws.
I move to accept, place on file, and award the 2-year contract to William C. Cannon in the amount of $63,450.
Motion is to accept, place on file, and award the 2-year contract to William C. Cannon in the amount of $63,450. Is there any discussion of that motion?
Could I just ask what
Alderman-
that's for?
That's for the sale of new market tax credits on 201 Main Street, if I'm not mistaken. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries.
Communication from Mayor Jim Donchis relative to independent contract agreement with Harbor Homes, Inc.
Alderman Tenza?
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion to accept, place on file, and award the 3-year contract to Harbor Homes, Inc. in the amount of $1,008,703.
Motion is to accept, place on file, and award the 3-year contract to Harbor Homes Incorporated in the amount of $1,008,703. Is there any discussion of that motion? Alderman Lopez?
Vote.
Alderman Lopez is recusing himself. Any further discussion? Alderman Jettie.
Could I ask what that's for?
Alderwoman Wilshire.
Thank you. It is for the grant that comes into through the city. It's a pass-through to the city for housing opportunities for persons with AIDS, and that Harbor Homes provides housing and services to that population. That's what this money is for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries.
Communication from Mayor Jim Donchis relative to independent contract agreement with Southern New Hampshire HIV AIDS Task Force.
Alderwoman Harriet Gethert.
I move to accept, place on file, and award the 3-year contract to Southern New Hampshire HIV/AIDS Task Force in the amount of $382,297.
Motion is to accept, place on file, and award the 3-year contract to Southern New Hampshire HIV/AIDS Task Force in the amount of $382,297. Is there any discussion of that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Petitions,
There are none.
nominations, appointments, and elections.
To the Honorable Board of Aldermen, I have this day appointed David Heath, 7 Casey Circle, Nashua, New Hampshire, to the office of Nashua Airport Authority for a term to expire August 31st, 2020. I have this day appointed Danielle Skelly, 175 Main Street, Nashua, New Hampshire, to the office of Downtown Improvement Committee for a term to expire June 1st, 2021, and respectfully request that these appointments be confirmed.
If there are no objections, the appointments will be accepted as read and referred to the Personnel and Administrative Affairs Committee. Reports of committees, if there are no objections, the report of the Budget Review Committee of May 9th, 2018 will be accepted and placed on file. If there are no objections, the report of the Human Affairs Committee of May 14th, 2018 will be accepted and placed on file. If there are no objections, the report of the Personnel and Administrative Affairs Committee of May 7th, 2018 will be accepted and placed on file. If there are no objections, the report of the Special Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting of May 15th, 2018 will be accepted and placed on file. If there are no objections, the report of the Planning and Economic Development Committee of May 15th, 2018 will be accepted and placed on file. Confirmation of the mayor's appointments.
Conservation Commission.
If there are no objections, Michael Ranke, 35 Lock Street, Nashua, will be appointed to the Conservation Commission for a term to expire December 31st, 2020. Is Mr. Ranke here? He will be sworn in at a later date.
Cultural Connections Committee.
If there are no objections, Amanda Martinez of 45 Concord Street, Nashua, and Paul Janapa of 51 Osgood Street, Methuen, will be appointed or duly appointed to the Cultural Connections Committee for terms to expire May 1st, 2021. Are either of those individuals present? Please come forward.
Come on in.
solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Cultural Connections Committee, to the best of your ability, faithful to the rules and
We'll swear her in
regulations
when she
of the
gets
city
here.
charter and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help you God.
My understanding is that Ms. Martinez is en route, and we will swear her in when she arrives.
Downtown Improvement Committee.
If there are no objections, Michael Watt, 5 Bank Road, Nashua, is duly appointed as an alternate member to the Downtown Improvement Committee for a term to expire March 31st, 2021. And I don't believe he's here, so he'll be sworn in at a later date.
Environment and Energy Committee.
If there are no objections, Anita Arden Kaler of 15 Taylor Street, Nashua, is duly appointed to the Energy and Environment Committee for a term to expire March 31st, 2020. Is Ms. Kaler here? Please come forward.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Environment and Energy Committee, according to the best of your abilities and agreeably to the rules and regulations of the city charter and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help you God.
Mine Falls Park Advisory Committee.
If there are no objections, Adam Varley, 3 Scotia Way, Nashua, and Edward Weber, 4 Cabernet Court,
Nope.
Nashua.
Mine Falls Park.
Oh, I'm back one, I'm sorry. If there are no objections, Brian Edwards, 1 Rice Avenue, Nashua, will be appointed to the Mine Falls Park Advisory Committee for a term to expire March 31st, 2021. Is Mr. Edwards here? Please come forward.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Mine Falls Park Advisory Committee, according to the best of your abilities and agreeably to the rules and regulations of the city charter and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help you God? I do.
Planning Board.
If there are no objections, Adam Varley, 3 Scotia Way, Nashua, and Edward Weber, 4 Cabernet Court, Nashua, are appointed to the Planning Board for terms to expire March 31st, 2021. Would those 2 individuals, or whoever's here, come forward?
Raise your right hand, please. Solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the National Planning Board, according to the best of your ability and agreeably to the rules and regulations of the city charter and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help you God. I will.
Zoning Board of Adjustment.
If there are no objections, James P. Welch of 3 Greenwood Drive in Nashua is appointed as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a term to expire September 11th, 2020. Is Mr. Welch here? He will be sworn in at a later date. Unfinished business resolutions.
Second reading, Resolution 18-027, authorizing the expenditure of up to $384,000 from the Nashua Conservation Fund to assist in the funding of a conservation easement at Sullivan Farm property.
Alderman Dowd.
I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R 18-027.
Motion is for final passage of R 1827. Is there any discussion of that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and R 1827 is adopted.
Second reading of Resolution 18-028, relative to the acceptance and appropriations of up to $213,000 from the New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program to assist in the funding of the conservation easement at the Sullivan Farm property.
Alderwoman Clee.
I move for final passage for R 18028.
Motion is for final passage of R 1828. Is there any discussion? Excuse me. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and R 1828 is adopted. And I believe Ms. Martinez has joined us. You've been appointed to the Cultural Connections Committee. Please come forward and take the oath of office.
Solemnly swear, faithfully and impartially, discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Cultural Connections Committee, according to the best of your abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the city charter and the Constitution of the state. So help me God.
Second reading of Resolution 18-029, authorizing city to accept and exudate interest in a conservation easement at the Sullivan Farm property.
Alderwoman Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for final passage of R 18029.
Motion is for final passage of R 1829. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries, and R 1829 is adopted.
Second reading of Resolution 18-033, relative to the acceptance and appropriation of $1,430,000 from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development into Public Health and Community Services grant activities, housing opportunities for persons with AIDS.
Alderwoman Wilshire.
Thank you. I move for final passage of Resolution 1833.
Motion is for final passage of R 1833. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and R 1833 is adopted.
Second reading of Resolution 18-034, relative to the acceptance and appropriation of transportation enhancement funds from the State of New Hampshire Department of Transportation in the amount of $879,760 and authorizing the transfer of matching funds.
Alderman O'Brien.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion for final passage of R 18034.
Motion is for final passage of R 1834. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries, and R 1834 is adopted. Unfinished business ordinances.
Second reading of ordinance 18-011, updating the financial standards for the city's welfare guidelines.
Alderwoman Wilshire.
Thank you. I move for final passage of Ordinance 1811.
Motion is for final passage of ordinance 1811. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and 1811 is adopted. If there are no objections, the rules will be so far suspended as to allow for second reading of ordinance 1812.
Second reading of ordinance 18-012, amending the fee schedule of the city building regulations.
Alderwoman Wilshire.
Thank you. I make a motion to amend Ordinance 1812 by replacing it in its entirety with the proposed amendment attached to the Building Department Manager's Memorandum accepted earlier this evening.
Motion is to amend 1812 by replacing it in its entirety with the proposed amendment attached to the Building Department Manager's Memorandum accepted earlier this evening. Is there any discussion of that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Alderwoman Wilshire.
Thank you. I move to table ordinance 1812 pending the public hearing scheduled for Wednesday, May 30th, 2018 at 7 PM in the Aldermanic Chamber.
Motion is to table 01812 pending the public hearing scheduled for Wednesday, May 30th, 2018 at 7 PM in the Aldermanic Chamber. Is there any discussion of that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Second reading of ordinance 18-013, amending the accessory dwelling ordinance.
Alderwoman Melissa Golia.
I would move for final passage of 018-013 as amended.
Motion is for final passage of 01813 as amended. Is there any
May I just
Alderwoman
speak to the
Melissa
amendment?
Golia.
I know everyone here has read it and we've had discussion, but for the public, the amendment now makes it so that one of the two dwellings in a home that has an accessory dwelling must always be owner occupied, and this will continue even when the property is sold. If the new owner desires to have an accessory dwelling, that owner will still have to live in either the larger or smaller of the two units. So it will always be owner occupied. Thank you.
Further discussion of the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and 01813 is adopted.
Second reading of ordinance 18-014, setting parks and recreation fees.
Alderwoman Karen.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of 0-18-014.
Motion is for final passage of 01814. Is there any discussion of that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and 01814 is adopted. New business resolutions.
First reading of resolution 18-036, relative to the transfer of $25,000 from Department 194 contingency, account 70100, general contingency to Department 109 civic and community activities, accounting classification 56, outside agencies for the purpose of providing funding to the Nashua Association for the Elderly.
Additional sponsors, Alderwoman Wilshire, Alderman Dowd, Alderwoman Clee, Alderman Laws, Alderman Lopez, Alderwoman Kelly, Alderwoman Melissa Golia, Alderman Tenza, Alderwoman Schmidt, Alderman O'Brien, and myself. And R 1836 will be assigned to the Budget Review Committee.
First reading of resolution 18-037, relative to the transfer of $150,000 from Department 159, Other Public Safety, account 54835, hydrant fees, to Department 198, interfund transfers, account 89725, transfer to the City Retirement Trust Fund.
Additional sponsors, Alderwoman Harriet Gathright, Alderman Laws, Alderman O'Brien. And R 1837 will be assigned to the Budget Review Committee.
First reading of resolution 18-038, authorizing fireworks at Holman Stadium after 10 p.m. on July 17th, 2018.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Dowd, Alderwoman Wilshire, Alderman Gidge, Alderman Laws, Alderwoman Melissa Golia, Alderman Tenza, Alderwoman Schmidt, and Alderman O'Brien. And R 1838 will be assigned to the Personnel and Administrative Affairs Committee.
First reading of resolution 18-039, relative to the acceptance and appropriation of $22,347 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Exotic Species Program, and authorizing the transfer of matching funds.
Additional sponsors, Alderwoman Harriet Gathright, Alderwoman Kelly, Alderwoman Melissa Golia, Alderwoman Schmidt, Alderman O'Brien, and Alderman Gidge. And R 1839 will be assigned to the Human Affairs Committee. New business ordinances.
First reading of ordinance 18-015, amending the city's stormwater management ordinances.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Dowd, Alderman Gidge, Alderwoman Harriet Gathright, Alderwoman Karen, Alderwoman Melissa Golia, Alderwoman Schmidt, and Alderman O'Brien. And R 1839, or 01815, Alderwoman Melissa Golia, you have a motion?
Yes, I do. I move to accept the first reading of ordinance 18015, assign it to the Planning and Economic Development Committee and the Nashua City Planning Board, and that a public hearing be scheduled on Tuesday, June 5th, 2018, at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber.
Motion is to accept the first reading of 01815, assign it to the Planning and Economic Development Committee and the Nashua City Planning Board, and that a public hearing be scheduled on Tuesday, June 5th, 2018, at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries.
First reading of ordinance 18-016, establishing a no parking zone on the west side of Pine Street.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Dowd and Alderman Gidge. 01816 will be assigned to the Committee on Infrastructure. Period for general public comment. We have one speaker who has signed up, Christopher Griffin.
Good evening. I'm a member of your disabled community, and I have a question for you all. Why has the city of Nashua been discriminating against the mobility disabled by not providing proper handicap access on the north side of the Cotton Transfer Bridge? This has been going on for over 42 months. The city was notified of problems 6 months ago, and still problems remain. The city's in a unique position here because the Field Corporation, who they rely on to give the access on the north side of the bridge, did not do that for 3 years. They're in a unique position because now they can renegotiate and have the ramp put in, which would get 24 hours access to the disabled community, which would help make up for the time that we've lost. Because 3 years is a long time not to have any access. They started giving some access back in December when they started answering the phone, which they were supposed to have answered back in 2014. But when I tried to use it 2 weeks ago, I got their answering machine. So still, they're failing to comply with federal ordinances and the agreed upon decision by you all to give them the responsibility of managing access for the disabled. I'm curious as to why, and I've mentioned this to other people in the city, that the city should be going after them for the time lost. And the response I've gotten is, we have no interest in doing that. So I'm curious as to all of you, what do you think? Do you think the city, the disabled people in the community deserve that time back? And since we have an opportunity, since they broke a contract, to renegotiate, possibly put in a ramp, is it equitable? Is it fair? Because if you all don't agree with me, my next option is to go have somebody from the state with an attorney to file charges against you for violations of the Americans with Disability Act for 180 days. That adds up to $660,000. Not only that, under the Federal Highway Administration, Section 504, it says you're not allowed to discriminate, and since you did not provide access for 3 years at all, that's a form of discrimination, and you can be held accountable for that also, in federal and privately. I don't want any of this to happen. But the city has been sitting back for the 6 months I've been talking to them, doing nothing. So I figured I need to come to the people who really make the city's decisions and see what you all think. So I'd love to hear from you right now if you all have any comments or responses to what I've said.
This is the public comment period. We accept comments. We don't respond to them during the public comment period.
So can I ask for a letter from you all within the next week from each one of you to be sent to my house as to what your response is to my questions? Because I think it deserves an answer and deserves an answer quickly. because the people I'm working with are finishing up a case, and once they start investigating, I won't let them stop. Okay, thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
If need be, let me know, and I'll leave my address so that you can all mail me a letter, if you choose to.
Remarks by members of the Board of Aldermen. I'll start on this side tonight. Anybody have remarks? Alderman Lopez.
The Tree Streets Block Party is June 9th, so everybody's invited to that. And then additionally, a new mural is being announced by Positive Street Art, and it's particularly important to me because it's to acknowledge people who we've lost to recovery. So there's more information on their website, but it's important, I think, as we look at the opioid crisis and we look at the responses that we have, not to lose focus on the fact that there are people still struggling who've lost, close family members, and there are still people who are struggling with recovery. So just because it's not in the news as much as it was last year, it's still very important to stay focused on it as a city.
Any other remarks? Alderman Jettie.
So one of my constituents emailed me saying that she read in the newspaper that that it's costing the city more to dispose of recyclables than it has in the past. And she's asking, should she stop taking her recyclables to the landfill in order to save the city money? I'm going to respond to her directly, but I want everyone to know that the city is still firmly committed to the recycling program. Recyclables do not yet cost more than it costs to put it in the landfill, but we're heading in that direction. And I am going to be, I'm working on a resolution to form a committee to study the whole issue of waste and recycling, and try to figure out how the city can best deal with waste and recycling. There are, it's a big problem, but there are solutions out there, and so I'm hoping that this committee that we form will be able to get information from the experts in the field and help our solid waste department figure out the best way of dealing with this problem. But in the meantime, yes, the city is still very much committed to recycling. Please separate your recyclables, put them in the proper containers, and if you live in a place like this woman does where we don't pick up, please bring it to the recycling center. And please look at the city's website about the instructions about what is recyclable and what isn't. Some people unfortunately think that the more stuff that they can put in the recycling, the better it is, but not necessarily. There's a limited itemization of the types of materials that we can accept and that we can that our contractor will take from us, and plastic bags is not one of them. The types of things that you can put in recycling is not universal. It's a limited list. So please look at the city's website about what that is, and please continue to recycle what you can. Thank you.
Alderwoman Mozagani.
Yes, I would just remind everyone that the sculptors continue to work at Make It Labs, and you can go out there and chat with them and watch them as they're working. They're there Monday through Saturday, and I know I was out there last weekend, and they enjoy having people come and talk to them about their work. So, and you can take a little tour of Make It Labs also while you're there. And I would just also remind people that this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and I hope you will join us at the parade. Thank you.
Alderman Tenza.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, over the weekend on Sunday, I had the opportunity to attend the dedication ceremony at the Main Street United Methodist Church for the new building that they constructed over the last couple of years, which was really a feat for the church. And so I wanted to congratulate Pastor Cullen and the entire congregation for, really, I think, breathing new life into their building and into the congregation, as well as their little portion of Main Street. Everything from the roofing work that they did to the landscaping is really came out fantastic. And it's a great property now right there on the corners of Main Street and Temple Street. In raising the money for the project, Mr. President, they call the campaign the Heart of Nashua campaign. And one of the things I learned is that the church on 4 separate occasions has voted to actually remain on Main Street in Nashua because they think that is an important place for them to be in all the work that they do. So I was impressed by that. But I was also thinking about our own fundraising campaign that is going to be undertaken for the Arts Center, and thought that maybe the naming the campaign something such as the Soul of Nashua might be a nice complement to all the work that the churches are doing in the downtown area. So I just want to congratulate the congregation.
Additional comments? Committee announcements. Alderman Dowd.
On May 30th, we'll have the next meeting of the Budget Committee. If you are anticipating making any motions, please think about them and have them structured for that meeting. If not, because we have a tight budget and we're expecting an impact from the reevaluation in the city, if there are no motions, we should be ready on that date to take a final vote and recommend final passage to the full board, and then that will be at a subsequent meeting where the city's budget will come before this entire board.
Additional announcements, Alderman Mozigolia.
Yes, PEDC will be Tuesday, June 5th. And excuse me, as you heard, we have the public hearing on wastewater, and we will continue our discussion on the blasting ordinance. Thank you.
Alderwoman Karen.
Yes, thank you. Personnel will be meeting on Monday, June 4th, and we will be getting the report from the Personnel Advisory Board and HR concerning some of the questions that some of the staff had with the pay scale changes. Thank you.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, May 23rd, at 7 p.m., infrastructure will be meeting here in the chamber. All are welcome. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Is there a motion? Alderwoman Wilshire.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned at 8:07.